Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are diving into a fascinating topic that I'm particularly excited about: expression. In this section, we are going to be exploring expression within the Fusion page. So, having a basic familiarity with Fusion is essential. What exactly is expression? Well, I'm going to put it to you like this. Expression serves as a powerful tool to craft a smoother and defined animations. So before we move on in this video, I needed to keep in mind with certain concepts. Okay, so I needed to keep in mind the dynamic between a remote controller and a television, or the connection between the controller and gaming consoles like PlayStation 5 or Xbox. I mean, PlayStation, but it doesn't matter, okay? That's besides the point. So let's unravel the world of expression together in this video. With that being said, let's dive into the computer and showcase exactly what I'm talking about. Okay guys, let's get started. Now, as you can see, I have my DaVinci Resolve opened. So I've already done an explanation before, but I'm going to redo that explanation so that you guys can understand a little bit better. Okay guys, so I start from the edit page, then I go to the Fusion page. It's almost like a routine right now, so bear with me. So normally you could just drag Fusion clip from here and you could drag it to the timeline. Okay, but I don't do that because I like to name my Fusion composition. So to name it, the best way to do it is to go to the bin, whatever bin you have. Let me go to clip bin. Never mind this, just because it doesn't matter because I'm not going to work with these clips here anyways. So I'm going to the bin and I'm going to create new Fusion composition. So when you do it this way, you could actually start by naming your Fusion composition. So I'm going to name this expression. I'm gonna hit create. Okay, so now I have expression in my bin. Okay, so I'm gonna drag it down from here to the track. Okay, so I'm going to select this and I already have my playhead on that clip. Some people like to right click here and go to open in Fusion page, but me, I like to do my way, so I just select it and I just click on Fusion. Okay, so now we are on Fusion page. So guys, let's begin with expression. Man, oh man, you know, I actually watched somebody do a tutorial on expression. I forgot the name. Before he started, he took a deep breath before he started. And I was like, bruh, man, you come on, man, you dragging it, man. You're doing too much. So now I'm about to start. So let's start. Let's begin. All right, so expression. I'm going to start with what I think is the simplest form of it. Okay, so just to give you the idea of what expression tries to do at its simplest form, at the basic level. All right, so I'm gonna drag down the background and I'm gonna get an eclipse. Okay, so I'm gonna connect the background to the media so that way you could see what I'm trying to portray. And I'm gonna connect the eclipse to the background to form an eclipse. Okay, so let's select the eclipse and we are going to head to the inspector. And at the inspector, we are going to show you guys exactly what expression try to do. Okay, so at the inspector now, we are going to be working with width and height. So as you can see here, if I control width, the width, if I increase the width here, the width increase. I could reset. If I increase the height increase. But the problem is, it doesn't form a perfect circle. To form a perfect circle, you need to increase the height to the same value for it to be a perfect circle. Okay, so if you want to do that now, what you want to do is like, all right, you're gonna turn this to let's say turn it to 0.8. Just type it in. Okay, let's say 0.8. Boom. So if you type this to 0.8 now, it becomes a perfect circle, but it's too big so you can't see it. But you already know what it is. But let's go back to 0.5. So I could reduce the size from here as well. Okay, that's a height. Okay, so I'll go back again and I could reduce the width. Boom. Okay, so that's cool, right? But I want to reduce it at the same time. So luckily for us, the Eclipse node actually have a way for us to do that automatically. Okay, so what we could do is we go to the side and we could reduce both the width and the height at the same time. Now, what that did is exactly what expressions actually do. Meaning it connects one slider to another slider. You could use one slider to control both sliders now. All right, so what I just did here, let's say I want to do the same thing here. That's actually what expression does by controlling two nodes at the same time. Okay, but let's show you an example. All right, so now we have a width and we have height. So okay. All right, so now in order to create expression, I'm going to go to the width, I'm going to right click width, and I'm going to hit expression. So when I do that now, the slider does not work no more. You can no longer use the slider to put in your value. Now your value, you're gonna have to put it on the slider. So now it's at 0.5. I could say 0.5 and I could add 0.5 plus 0.2. Okay, boom, that becomes a new value. All right, so now the new value is 0.7, as you could see on the width slider. Okay, so now you could put mathematical formula here. Okay, so you could also put 0.5 in the value in the expression and hit enter, and that happens too, so it goes back to 0.5. Well, another thing you could do now to control both the height and the width at the same time is to connect width with height. And to do that, all you have to do is type in height. Boom. So now it's not connected. So now the value of height will be the same value of width. So now the value is not being controlled with height. So whatever the height is going to be whatever the width is. So now they're both linked. Okay. So now the height becomes a controller. All right. Whatever value the height is now going to be the value of width. Boom. So that's the simplest form of expression. All right. So now we are going to go to another example and a more complicated one. All right. Well, it's not complicated, but it's just, all right, let's do more things with our expressions. All right, so let's delete Eclipse. We don't need it right now, so we're going to use rectangular to do this. All right, so, and I'm going to bring in another background, and I'm going to connect this background, and I'm going to also connect this to another rectangular node. All right, so now we have two rectangular nodes. So what I'm going to do now is to change the colors, so that way you could separate the nodes. Okay, so I'm going to turn one to green, and I'm going to turn one to, what should I use, guys? What color should I use? What color should I use, guys? Is it yellow? Okay, well, you can't see it because it's behind. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm only using this to just demonstrate what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so I'm going to name this green. Okay, I'm gonna name this green. Let's name this green. What am I pressing? Okay, so I'm gonna name this green. I'm gonna name this yellow. Okay, so I'm probably just doing too much now. I don't need to do all of this, but you know, sometimes when you just wanna, okay, so green and yellow. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to connect the center X, the center of this green, to the center of the yellow. So I want to connect both of them. Okay. So, but before I do that, I want to move them side to side, so that way you could see them, you know, separately. So I'm going to change the value here to 0.75, and I'm going to change the value here to 0.25. okay, so that way like close to each other. Okay, they're side by side to each other. Okay, I did it that way just to demonstrate what I'm trying to show you guys. Okay, right, so now I'm going to write the expression on the green node. All right, oh, should I write it? No, I'm going to write it on the green node, so the yellow becomes the remote and the green becomes the TV. Remember the analogy that I gave you guys, that I asked you guys to keep in mind, which is like the TV is where you write the code and the remote is where you connect the code to, so that way you can control it with the remote. Okay, use the remote to control the code. Okay, so when you write the code, you want to assign something to the code, right? You want to, like, let's say that the center X becomes the 1, so that way when you press 1, something happens. Okay, so we are trying to write the expressions on the center to use the yellow to control the center of green as well. So now how do we do it? Remember, the yellow becomes remote and the green becomes the TV. So the TV is where you write your expression. So I'm going to go to exactly where you want the remote to control it, which is I want the remote to control the center X. Okay, so, which is the center X mean that it's going to go horizontal. That's X. Y goes vertical, and X goes horizontal. Okay, so yeah, okay, so now we're gonna go to center and we're going to right click center and we're gonna hit expression. What you see now is exactly X value and you see the Y value. So whatever value you want to add, you're gonna have to add it here. Okay, so if you like, you could put X plus 2.5, or you could write Y. Let me use Y plus 0.2. Okay, so that becomes the value. Okay, so whatever value you want now, you could put it here. Okay, so let's go back to where it was. So now, how do you add it? How do you add the controller node to your expression? Simple. It has a name. The name is yellow. Okay, and remember, you're gonna have to put capital letter where capital letter is appropriate. Okay, so it's like a password. Wherever you see the capital letter, you have to use capital letter. Wherever you use the lowercase letter, you have to use the lowercase. Okay, otherwise it won't work. So now we are trying to connect the X value of the green to the yellow. So we're gonna have to remove the X value here, which is 0.25. That's not what we want. We want the X value to be yellow. Okay, so now we're going to put yellow. Okay, now that center of the yellow. Okay, so remember it's the center, and the center comes with this capital C dot center dot X. So what happened now is you put the value of the yellow center. Okay, so yellow, which is the address of this node, the yellow node right here, then you put the center, then you put the X. So the X is specifying that you are using the X value, which is the horizontal value. Okay, that's the X value. Okay, so now when I press center, see what happened now is now they both are using the same, they're both using the same value now. So if I go to yellow, both are moving at the same time. So both X have the same value now, but not the Y, because we didn't connect the Y. We didn't write any formula on the Y. So the Y's are still separate. Okay, so if I go to Y and I move up, you can see the yellow value on top. Okay, so I could now move up and down. So now you can see the yellow and you can see the green. They both have the same X value. They're connected on the X value, okay, but not the Y value. All right, so the Y value, I could move it up and down. It won't affect the green or node at all. So let's put this back at 0.5. You see, same thing happened when it was on the other node. Nothing changed, same thing. All you have to do now is to put the name of the node and you put which slider on the inspector side and you identify which part of the slider is the X or is it the Y. That's it. Okay, so let's do something different. Okay, so let's go back to the green node. All right, so that's cool. So now they're moving point to point. They're moving at the same speed, the X, that is, they're moving at the same speed, same direction. They're moving point to point. But what if you want the green to move twice as fast as the yellow node? It's easy. You just put the X times 2. X times 2. And you go back to the yellow, the controller, because the yellow is always a controller. Well, as you can see, when you put times 2, now it's no longer moving at the same rate, and they're not even going to be at the same place at the same time. You see, the green is moving twice as fast. Okay, they're no longer moving at the same rates. They're moving at separate rate. The green is moving twice as fast as the yellow, because the formula you put for green is X multiplied by 2 after you put the address, which is the yellow dot center dot X. Now you multiply the X by 2, it moves twice as fast. If you want it to go slower, you divide by 2, then it's gonna move twice, it's gonna move slower. Okay, so yeah, that's just that simple. Okay, so let me do something different. Okay, now let's go back to where was it? It was 0.5, right? Let's set back to 0.75. Well, I'm doing that for a reason. Okay, now so 0.75. Now let's do another example. So what if you want both nodes to go opposite direction? Okay, so when it's going this way, they're both going this way, but when they come together, they're both coming together. All right, so it's like a door opening and closing. All right, but they're going separate direction. Well, this is where numbers come to play. Just like you multiply by 2, what you have to do now, well, before I tell you what you have to do, remember at the beginning, one was at 0.75 and one was at 0.25, and they were both like this, and one at 75 and one was at 25. So 75 plus 25 is 1. If you add them together, the entire space that they occupied is 1, because one is at 75 and one at 25. And remember, okay, right now this is at 0.75. I remember you are measuring the center of the position. So this is the center. The center here is 0.25. But if you go on this side, the center is going to be 0.25. Okay, so 0.25 here, and it's going to be 7.5 here. Okay, so that's equals to 1. All right, so the value is at the middle. That's why it might be a bit confusing, but that value is this middle part right here. So this is, this is half of half, and half of half is 75 this way. Half of half is 0.25 this way. Okay, with that being explained, so what can you do to achieve both nodes going separate ways? Simply 1 minus the X value. 1 minus the value of center of X, center of X for the yellow. So now, as you can see, they are now side by side. Now if I move it, they both go in the opposite direction, and if I move it the other way, they both go in this different direction, but they have that door closing effect. Okay, boom, boom, boom. 7.5, they both come right at the middle. The full length becomes 1. All right, so this is where you start to apply some logic. Okay, and it might be a bit confusing, but you just have to ponder upon it and practice a bit more. Okay, and the formulas are available to you on the DaVinci manual, and also there are sites out there that I'm going to provide on the comment section where you could go and get the formulas There's a lot of formulas out there that you could use. Okay, so don't worry, I'm going to be doing more examples with more formulas, so that way you know where you could apply these formulas to. By the way, the expression is an entire universe, so take your time with it. But wait, there is more. I'm going to introduce another node, and I'm going to attach that node as well. That node is like a separate TV, and I'm going to use the same controller for another TV. Okay, so I'm going to bring another node, boom, and I'm going to use Eclipse as well. So with this one, let's make it fun with this one. Okay, so with this one, so I've written expression with the center X. So but what about center Y? It's still the same principle, but let's see it in practice, right? Okay, so we're gonna go to rectangular one. We could call it, let's call it black, just to stay consistent with our naming system. All right, so you always want to stay consistent with your naming system. So I'm gonna call this black. Goku black, just black. Let's call it black. Okay, so same thing, go to the center, right click, expression. So because we are going to use the Y value, remember Y value is going vertical, up and down. That's the Y value, up and down. X value, horizontal. Okay, so we're gonna delete the 0.5 because that's not the Y value that we want. We want the Y value to equals to the remote that we're already using. Remember, the yellow is our remote, so we want to still add that expression to the same button that we're using to control our expression. Okay, which was the yellow center X. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. Yellow dot center dot X. So we've connected the X value of the yellow center to the Y. So what's going to happen is it's going to move 1-to-1, right? It's going to move 1-to-1 ratio because there's no formula. We just connect. We didn't add no formula. We didn't add no +2. We didn't multiply by 2. We just put in the value of yellow center X. So whatever the yellow center X is whatever the Y is on the black. So what that does is, if X move 1 this way, Y move 1 this way, 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 1 this way. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Okay, so because you put it on the Y value, so Y value cannot go anywhere else other than up and down, but they're still moving at the same 1-to-1. Okay, so now if you go to X value now, as you can see, it already moved. The X value is at 0.75, so 0.75 is the same point going up, so that's where it started, 0.5. So if boom, from 1-to-1, boom. Okay, right. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so let's say you want this in the middle and the value is at 0.075 and you want the value to be at 0.5 in the middle. So what you could do is simple, you add both value and you're going to be 1.25 minus that value. So when you hit enter, boom, it goes to the middle. So how do I get 1.25? Is you added 0.5 plus 0.75. So if you wanted it to end at the middle, you just subtract 1.25 from 0.75, then it's going to end at the middle. Now your animations is going to end at the center. Okay, boom. If you wanted to end at the center. All right, so this becomes where you just need to know your basic math. Okay, just to apply just a little logic to it, you know, here and there. It might take you a little time to figure out, but if you figure it out, it's going to solve a lot of problems and it's going to enhance your animation. Okay, so yeah, that's expression for you. So yes, so now we got an expression that's controlling 3 different nodes. Boom. Okay, so let's just try an animation. Okay, let's put it perfect at 0.75. okay, so let's just try some animation, and like everything that we do, we also try to, you know, try any animation to see how our work is going. Okay, well, if you're familiar with my page, you know that's how I do. All right, so let's go to the frame 15 and we're going to start our animation here. Then we're going to go to 0 and we're going to take this apart. Boom. So if we play it, boom. Okay, I mean, that's all right. Boom. Cool. All right, so that's an example of animation you can use, but it's not an impressive one. But at least you understand how we use this one node to control 3 separate centers. Okay, all right, so we got more examples, so hopefully you guys are keeping up and you at least you understand the fundamentals, you understand the basic concept of what expression is trying to do. If you understand that, the details is going to come later. You just need to understand the concept of what expression is trying to accomplish. Okay, so I got more examples where you have to use formula. All right, so let's add a text node. So I'm going to bring down text node. We're going to add this and we're going to select the text node. So now let's create expression on the text. Is it called text pad? Whatever it's called. We're going to create an expression here. Right click, expression, and now we have an expression. So now we are going to use time. Remember, time goes from frames to seconds to minutes to hour to day. Okay, so that's how time goes. So the first unit of time in editing is the frame, not seconds. Second is the second unit. All right, so what we're going to do now is we are going to understand the frame, which is I'm using 24 frames per second, so that means 24 images per second. So knowing that, and we're trying to use the time, like we're trying to use time here, we're going to put time, and time use a lowercase, so do not use capital for time, it's lowercase. So time divided by 24, we press enter, and if I go to frame 24, it's going to be 1. If I go to frame 48, it's going to be 2. Frame 48, 2. Okay, all right, but anywhere in between is going to be like a decimal, like a fraction. And the default length for the expression is 5 seconds, so keep that in mind. So if I play this, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it stops. Okay, cool. Now this is cool, but if you're doing a video, I highly doubt that you want those decimal to be in your clip. I doubt you want that. Okay, most people just want the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. They don't want this 1.083333. That's just too long of a number. All right, so what can you do? Well, that's the formula for that, and the formula is simple. Add floor. Okay, and I believe floor is also lowercase. Floor But when you add floor, you want to open the bracket, put time, and when you open the bracket, you want to close it too. All right, so you go to the end and you close bracket. You return. Now when you play it, there'll be no decimals. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 returns to the beginning at 5. Okay, so boom, now there are no more decimals. But what if you want to start counting from 3, 2, 1? You don't want to count going 1, 2, 3. You want to count going 3, 2, 1. Okay, so, and you know, people do use that 3, 2, 1. Then you might go to another scene, or whatever you want to do with it. Okay, so to do that, okay, so we've already taken out the decimals, and we've already put in the time using the frame per second. Okay, so what we want to do is, now we want to do 3 minus. Okay, 3 minus meaning it's going to start from 3, we're going to go minus. So now, let's hit enter. Make sure it enters. Okay, so now if we go to the beginning and we play 3 minus, boom, 3, 2, 1, 0, minus 1. So if you noticed, it went to minus 1 after 0. What if you don't want to go negative? You want to end at 0. You don't want to go negative, because why would you want to go negative if you want to count down from 3 to 1 or 3 to 0? Well, this is where we add our mask formula. Okay, so by the way, all the formulas I'm going to be putting it on the screen so you can see the basic formulas and you know what it is. So mask, so the formula for mask is when you put mask, you put a bracket, you put the maximum number that you want, and you put the minimum number that you want. So max, maximum number, maximum value, minimum value. So our maximum value is already put in here, which is the 3 floor time divided by 24. That's the max, because that's the value that we started in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open a bracket. Okay, boom, open the bracket. Now we've already put in the max number already. So what we're gonna do is put a comma, because you have to put max value, then you put comma, then you put minimum value. So if you want the minimum to be 1, you put 1, but in my case I'm going to put 0 for the minimum number. Then you close bracket. So the max value you already put in, the minimum value is 0. So now you put enter. So now when you go back and you play it, so 3, 2, 1, 0, and it stops. Now you no longer has that negative number. Okay, so I believe I've showed you some of the expression formulas, and I've also showed you the basic concept of expression. All right, so and I've given you the analogy that I think makes sense. Well, if it makes sense, let me know. If it doesn't, also let me know. I used 2 analogies. One was using the remote and the TV, okay, or the connection between a controller and gaming consoles like PlayStation 5 or bell button as well. And I will catch you on the next video. Peace.